Now that you know how to format your planner using dividers, today we're going to be discussing inserts and how you will use your inserts inside your dividers to continue to have a planner flow. If that sounds like something that you are interested in and you are enjoying the series, let me know in the comments. But now let's get started. Okay, you guys, so we talked about formatting your planner, how to format your planner in part 2. Now we're in part 3, and we're going to be discussing inserts. So remember the flow of your planner. Again, how you set it up is really totally up to you, but we're going to use my mini HP as our guide today. And usually in the front of my planner is my inbox section. So you usually would have maybe a divider here, or in my case here, I'm using a dashboard. That's something that we're going to be discussing as well. So you're going to use a dashboard or divider. And this is pretty much my inbox section. This is things I need to get done. This here is like my yearly plan. You may also use in your inbox section a task list or task manager. I'm using a task manager. And I think these are available for a download in my shop. And the way that I use my task manager inside of my inbox section is that I make a little brain dump for the month and I just mark things off. I mark them as a priority or a non-priority and just check them off. If you're a lister like me, this may work for you. Let's move on. And here is another dashboard that you may want to include in your planner, which is just a yearly overview, just so you can go through the year. You can mark in dates. You can highlight those dates using a marker or anything like that. Totally up to you. You don't have to, but I like one. We're discussing dashboards and inserts. So this is just a dashboard. Dashboards are just a little cute element. This is how you design your planner to make it pretty for you. Now we get into the pretty things and the functional things. So you can use dashboards to use as a separation of a section, to highlight a section, or also as just a pretty element or a cute element in your planner. So this is layering. You have a vellum dashboard. You have another dashboard. I made this one on Canva, and Canva is a great resource to make your own dashboards if you like. And so that's a good layering. We call that a layering moment here in the community, where you can take a piece of vellum and then just some cardstock, and you get like a two, like this becomes one, if that makes sense. Okay. Next up is my goals section. You can use goals inserts. You can use just plain paper or just some filler paper or regular notebook paper and write down your goals. And you can use that inside of your goals section just to write out your goals. Here I have another yearly overview, and this also helps me to see my year at a glance. All right, let's move on. And then we have another dashboard. Again, you can use these dashboards to separate sections as well inside of divider sections, if that makes sense. Again, it's also just a cute element. You don't need dashboards, but I like to use them as just to bring a little life to my planner. And we have another dashboard, this is just a monthly overview dashboard to let me know that this is for January. It also is vellum, so it's right there on top of my next month, so that way I can kind of see, and it gives me that layering month. It's transparent, but at the same time it's a little frosty, so that way it's just a little frosty. Okay, and then you have your monthlies. Now we discussed this a little bit. We touched on it a little bit in part 2 of how I like a 2-month page calendar. Some people like a 1-month page calendar, and I'm going to show you a 1-month page calendar insert. So in my business planner, my mini HP, I have 1 month on a page. This is great. A 1 month on a page calendar is great if you don't really need to write out a lot of things. You just want to highlight some dates and maybe fill in those things here at the bottom. Everyone makes a different 1 month on a page. Some shops have them where there's different sections at the bottom. You may have a note section at the bottom. But when you're buying your inserts, make sure that you are buying them for you, for your type of lifestyle, how you will be using them. And a 2-month page calendar may be just a little bit much for you. I'll show you one that is not as busy. So as this one, you may just need to jot down some things. No design or anything like that. I haven't put any highlighter stickers or anything in this one, but I prefer a 2-month on a page. But I decided that for my monthlies in my business planner, I only needed just a page, 1 page a month. But I think I want to go back to a 2-page. I'm not sure yet. But that's the thing. You can always change your mind. You can always change your mind. And you will adjust your inserts according to your lifestyle or according to how you will need to use something in the next season of your life. Again, this is your manager. Your planner is your manager of your life. So according to how your life is going, you may need to use a different insert. Okay, so we're out of monthlies. We have a frosted dashboard layered over top of a regular cardstock dashboard. Cardstock and vellum dashboards, there are 2 different types of dashboards, 2 different types of paper. A lot of people, I love vellum dashboards myself, and then I also like cardstock. So you may not like vellum, you may like cardstock, or you may just want all vellum dashboards in your planner. My personal opinion when it comes to putting or adding dashboards to your planner is they should speak to you. They should, if they're going into a certain section, they should be, again, in a flow of the planner. Okay, so now we're getting into my weeklies. And for me, now you don't have to do this, but for me, I like to pre-plan my weeks, and I pre-plan them on a smaller scale of a week on a page. These are great. These inserts are great for those who don't have a lot going on, who just need to put a little something down. Maybe you just want to put bills down, just your reoccurring schedule weekly, but you don't need 2 months, a week on 2 pages, and we'll get into that in the next section. So again, this is just in case you just need a highlight of your week. If you just need a running to-do list, again, you can find different types of weeks on a page, different type of weekly inserts. But when you're picking out your weekly inserts, make sure that you are picking out inserts that are going to work for you. Or you can also change, as I said before, you can change your mind. Your life may get busier, and then you may need more. I'm going to show you how I switched up in my mini HP. Let me get to the weekly here. So we're going to be using both of these planners. In my weekly HP, I used to use, I'm going to see if it's still in here because I might have taken it out. I've taken it out. But my weeks got, in my business planner, I no longer needed 2 weeks on a page. I just needed a week on a page, something on a smaller scale. So as you can see, a week on a page can look different. You just got to figure out what kind of planner you'll be, what will work for you in your lifestyle. Like I said before, when you are designing your planner or formatting your planner, it has to have a flow. It has to work for you. You may like the way this looks, but this may not work for you. It works for me, but it may not work for you. But you have to go through different inserts to see what really works for you. But once you get a little further, down the road, you'll understand and realize what's going to work for you, how an insert will work for you. Again, this insert works for me because I needed to have a smaller scale of my week. I didn't need a week on 2 pages. So I use this here as a spotlight, as just pretty much a pre-plan in my everyday carry. We talked about what that is. And then in my business planner, this is my weekly. I use this to plan out my week. As you can see, I can still fill it up, but it's not enough to put it for 2 pages, a weekly on 2 pages. Okay, back to the CP Petite. Now, in my CP Petite, which is my everyday carry, I do have more than 1 weekly, so we're going to get to that. So that was our week on 1 page. Now we get into my schedule, my everyday, all my everyday things that I need to plan. As you can see, you can use stickers. This is a time situation insert. You may not need timed weeklies. You may just need a weekly that has just the date, a space for you to write down the things. A timed weekly insert is great for entrepreneurs, CEOs, anyone who has a tight schedule or pretty much runs their day by doing timed tasks or timed things in their day-to-day task. That is for me because I run pretty much 3 businesses, so I need time because I like to know what I'm doing at each time. You may not need this. The 1 week on a page may just be perfect for you. You may just need to jot down some things. So moving on from our weekly, remember the flow of the planner. We're going to go into dailies next. In our dailies, a daily is a great insert if you just like to map out your day on a day-to-day basis. Again, here on this insert, you have a schedule along with the time. You may not need time. I like time. And then here, there's a space to write anything extra that you may need. I like it for affirmations. You have a top 5 priorities and then a list for your task, a section for your task. I'll show it to you empty. And this is what it looks like empty. This may appeal to you if you like to plan your day by day opposed to a weekly. I like daily inserts for just when I have a busy day and everything that I have planned in my weekly that does not fit on my schedule, I can do it here. I have a lot of things to do, so I need to have a running task list on top of my weekly. So again, consider a daily insert if you just want to do something on a daily basis, not necessarily a weekly. And again, this can be in conjunction to your weekly. Next up, I have a meal section. You may not need a meal section, but again, this is the flow of my planner. And when you're getting your meal planning inserts, you got to figure out, again, what's going to work for you. Me, I need to see my meal planning in a week form. Some people like a monthly. They like to plan their meals in a month. As you can see, I fall off, but I keep them in here because I need to see if I'm going to write down what I'm going to eat that day, and I like to just keep a track of what I'm eating. These are great. These inserts are great if you are watching your weight, you want to plan out your meals. Meal planner inserts are great when you are budgeting your groceries, when you are managing your weekly meals. A lot of people like meal planning inserts when they are watching their weight. That way they can keep track of their food and they can allow, their system to help them out with that. And then here in this section, in the meal planning section, I have a recipe insert. Recipe inserts are great if you are writing down an insert. If you find a recipe online and you want to just kind of jot it down real quick, if they don't list it in the comment section or they list it in their description of the recipe, these are great for that. So I highly recommend a meal section. And then here I just have meal ideas. This is just a little insert. It's inside of my recipe bundle or my meal planning bundle, but I do not have that for download yet. If you would like that, just let me know. Again, we have another dashboard. Again, dashboards are great for dividing up that section or giving you a highlight to the next section. Here I have meeting notes. I do have, at least I did have some meeting notes here. If you are in a meeting and you want to jot down some notes from that meeting, meeting notes are great for that. In this insert here, you have a section for the date, time, AM or PM, the location, the topic, the objective, and then this is all to take notes. And then if you have tasks assigned to those meeting notes, you would do that and who they're assigned to, when they're due, and if they're completed. These were in, I think we had these in 2024. You may not need meeting notes. You may just be perfect with some note paper. I love a good note paper. So that's the next section that we're going to talk about. Would you use line paper? Do you like grid? I love grid and graph paper. That's just me. And you can take notes here, or you can take it on some line paper. Sometimes some people like blank paper in their note section. And then we get into my budget section. As you can see, again, we have This is our finance section. This is the divider that leads to our finance section. I have a vellum piece to just kind of give me a little layering moment over top of my next dashboard, which speaks to the coming section. I'm hoping I'm making sense. That's how it works in my mind, you guys. I don't know if anyone else does it, but that's just how it works in my mind. And here I just have some half sheets of a budget that I can place into another part of my planner. And then again, we have some more vellum that lets you see through to the next piece of paper or dashboard. And then I get into my expense tracker. In your finance section, I'm going to do another whole video on spending trackers because I'm very passionate now about a spending tracker or an expense tracker. But you can have other budget elements into your budget section. This is all that I have in here because, again, this is my everyday carry. I just don't need a full budget in here. I just want to track my money. And see, I have just a smaller scale of a budget here. And this is an expense breakdown. As I said before, you may not need this. You may not even need a budget section. But what will work for you inside of the planner that you're using and how you're setting up, just do not buy things because you see them. Only make it work for you. And then that is it. That is it. So I hope this video was helpful. And I hope that it wasn't all over the place, but I just want to make sure that I'm being thorough. Now, in part 4, we're going to discuss accessories like pins, stickers, all the great things. We've already talked about dashboards and inserts. I just thought I'd put the dashboards in with the inserts because they kind of go together to me. So that is it. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you have any questions, leave them for me. Leave the questions for me down in the comment section, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.